Hello everyone. After reading your emails and comments on my previous post on the Snowden PR stunt, I decided to add a few more macro points on this topic of whistleblowers, leaks, and the media. The internet era came with many promises: the information age, the truth era, transparency era, freedom of speech and alternative media era, and much, much more. Fast forward to the present. Do you see these promises fulfilled? Twitter censorship, scandalous Facebook blackouts, YouTube blocks, co-opted alternative media, mainstream propaganda, consolidated mega publishers. We have had an increase in censorship rather than a decrease. We are seeing far more misinformation and disinformation than information within the internet sphere. In the last decade and a half, there have been far fewer government whistleblowers coming forward publicizing government fraud, abuse, and criminality. People have become far more divided than united in countering misjustice, abuses of power, and rights abuses. Let's take a look at Wikileaks. By that, I mean a macro look. What does an entity such as Wikileaks do? It publishes, makes public information the powers the governments keep from you via secrecy, classification, and censorship. Now, read the macro definition as per Wikileaks' own mission statement again: to bring important news and information to the public. One of our most important activities is to publish original source material alongside our news stories so readers and historians alike can see evidence of the truth. Well, isn't this what journalism and the media, the free press, should be doing? Isn't this exactly what the media and journalists completely stopped doing during the last few decades, especially since the September 11 terror attacks? Think about it. If the media, the journalists, did what they are supposed to be doing, would there be any need for channels such as Wikileaks? But the media and almost all co-opted alternative media with a large reach have been doing the exact opposite. The media has been acting as a shield between the truth and the people. The media has been acting as a PR and propaganda channel for governments and mega corporations. The media has been the main vehicle in censoring and blacking out information governments and corporations don't want people to know. Now back to government whistleblowers and the US mainstream media. Let me give you an example from my own first-hand experiences as the most classified government whistleblower. Between 2002 and 2008, at least 8 major media outlets in the United States received detailed reports on information and people involved in my state secrets case. By that, I don't mean me walking into someone's office and giving a verbal account and alleging things. In each case, the information was a journalist's dream package of the following elements: my testimony, plus authenticated official documents, plus at least 3 high-level FBI witnesses backing the data, plus 2 constitutional attorneys assuring journalists that reporting the involved information was protected under protected disclosure laws. In late fall 2002, I, together with my attorney and 2 senior, at the time current, FBI agents armed with documented facts, met at Washington Post's Bob Woodward's house in Georgetown, Washington, D.C. We handed him all that info. about which he then stated, "This is bigger than Pentagon Papers." Within 48 hours after the meeting, we were told that Washington Post would not publish a single word on these explosive documented and witnessed reports other than a meager "FBI abuses poor little whistleblowers." The same experience was repeated with a New York Times Pulitzer winner reporter, a New Yorker Pulitzer winner investigative journalist, PBS, Newsweek, and Times Magazine. Even in the explosive Vanity Fair investigative report on Dennis Hastert, over 50% of my witnessed and documented reports was deleted, omitted. Here is what Pentagon Papers whistleblower Danielle Ellsberg quoted officially in my case. "I'd say what she has is far more explosive than the Pentagon Papers. The first line of defense is to ensure that she doesn't get into the media. I think any outlet that thought of using her material would go to the government and they would be told, 'Don't touch this.'" There were another interesting mainstream media censorship case I experienced in 2008. Here are a few excerpts from the report on this case by Ceasefire magazine. The title, "Why Was a Sunday Times Report on U.S. Government Ties to Al-Qaeda Chief Spiked?" According to two Sunday Times journalists speaking on condition of anonymity, this and related revelations by Sibel Edmonds had been confirmed by senior Pentagon and MI6 officials as part of a 4-part investigative series that were supposed to run in 2008. The Sunday Times journalists described how the story was inexplicably dropped under the pressure of undisclosed interest groups, which they suggest were associated with the U.S. State Department. The Pentagon officials corroborated Edmonds' allegations against specific U.S. officials, and I'd also interviewed an MI6 officer who confirmed that the U.S. was running these operations sponsoring Mujahideen in that period. A journalist with the Sunday Times investigative unit told this author he had interviewed former FBI special agent in charge, Dennis Sasher, who had moved to the FBI's Colorado office. Sasher reportedly confirmed the veracity of Edmonds' allegations of espionage, telling him that Edmonds' story should have been front-page news because it was a scandal bigger than Watergate. The same journalist confirmed that after interviewing Sasher at his home, the newspaper was contacted by the U.S. State Department. The U.S. Embassy in London called the editor and tried to ward him off. We were told that we weren't permitted to approach Sasher or any other active FBI agents directly, but could only go through the FBI's press office, that if we tried to speak to Sasher or anyone else employed by the FBI directly, that would be illegal. Of course, it isn't, but that was what we were told, and I think this was a veiled threat. A lead reporter on the series at the Sunday Times told this author that the investigation based on Edmonds' information was supposed to have 4 parts, but was inexplicably dropped. This story was pulled halfway, suddenly, without any warning, the journalist said. I wasn't party to the editorial decision to drop the story, but there was a belief in the office among several journalists who were part of the Insight investigative unit that the decision was made under pressure from the U.S. State Department because the story might cause a diplomatic incident. Let's watch together the final scene, the most damning scene from the movie 3 Days of the Condor, starring Robert Redford.
You know where we are. Just look around. They've got it. That's where they ship from. They got all of it. What? What did you do?
I told him a story. You play games, I told him a story.
Oh, you. You poor dumb son of a bitch. You've done more damage than you know.
I hope so.
You're about to be a very lonely man. It didn't have to end this way.
Of course it did.
Hey, Turner. How do you know they'll print it? You can take a walk, but how far if they don't print it?
They'll print it.
How do you know?
Today, the majority in the US still believe that we have free press. They are partially correct. The press is 100% free and unaccountable to lie and censor. Thank you all. This is Sibel Edmonds reporting for Newsbud.